Welcome to The Spotlight, the show that brings you voices of those who truly feed our nation, our small-scale farmers. Whether you're a farmer, a consumer, or just someone who cares about where your food comes from, this show is for you. This is The Spotlight, where small-scale farmers lead the discussion towards a just and resilient food system.
Yes, you're welcome to this special edition of ESAF Uganda podcast. Today we are looking at food safety and standards. And on 5th we had the World Environmental Day, which was looking at food and its safety, but also the standards. But well, also on Sunday, which was 7th, yesterday, we had the World Food Safety Day, which still informs our agenda as ESAF Uganda towards a just and resilient food system. And of course, one of our thematic working areas in trying to fulfill our Vision 2033 is trying to look at consumer rights. And this episode is trying now to look at safety and standards of the country. And as we are moving on, you find that even when we are building towards a just and resilient food system, there are so many things that are going on. We are having issues of aflatoxin, we are having issues of hazardous pesticides, issues of rejections in the world markets. And as ESAF Uganda, we are concerned, even when small-scale farmers across the country and the world are building towards having a safer food world or food environment. And we believe that food is not a privilege. Food is a right. And from that kind of background, I have comrades here, our partners, but also the leaders of small-scale farmers in the country who are really working towards fulfilling that agenda I've just introduced. First of all, I'm Ronald Bagaga, working with ESAF Uganda. ESAF Uganda is a farmers organization. It is a farmer-led, farmers-owned movement in the country. And tonight we have panelists here who are trying to discuss the food safety and standards status in the country. And maybe from my next right here, I'll give maybe a minute of introduction, where you're from, your designation, and so on. So, yes, welcome, comrade.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you again to the podcast. My name is Bernard Wambale, and I am the National Coordinator of the Food Safety Coalition of Uganda. I'm also the Head of Programs at Global Consumer Center, commonly known as Consent, where we do a lot of work on consumer protection, but also food safety issues across the country. Glad to catch up with you again.
So welcome, sir.
Thank you, Comrade Bagaga. Hakim Baliraine, as already said, the small-scale farmer. I come from Mayuge, and I'm the national chairperson of Eastern Southern Africa Small-Scale Farmers Forum, ESAF Uganda. But as you already know, ESAF is not only in Uganda, it is in other 16 countries, making Uganda the 17th, where I've served as the chairperson of the board of directors for the last 6 years, but I'm still serving on the board. And issues relating to farmers are not only discussed at national, regional, we need them to be discussed even at the global and continental level. So in that vein, I'm also, ESAF is also part of the bigger Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa, AFSA, where I've also served as the chair board of directors on the continental level, but still serving on the board. But issues of farmers are not only discussed at continental, but also at the global level. So I'm also the representative of Africa on the Global Executive Committee on the People's Coalition on Food Sovereignty, and also a representative at the World Rural Forum, where we discuss issues of family farming at Food and Agriculture Organization. You are most welcome to today's night discussion about food and food safety, where we farmers are key and pillar, because this is where food issues start from before they reach the table. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Akim. Of recent, government took action to regulate chemicals, especially the hazardous pesticides in the country. And if Mr. Akim says food safety and standards are key in this kind of struggle, then I think it fulfills what we are saying. Safe food is not a privilege, but it's a right. But when government tried to regulate and restrict harmful pesticides in the country, is it a commitment to protect consumers, farmers, export markets? And of course, as a of Uganda, we commend the government for taking that step. And maybe to start off with Mr. Bwambale, I would want to know from a food safety perspective, how would you describe the current state of food safety in Uganda, maybe even across borders?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I always want to give our viewers a little bit of a background of where we're coming from. When we talk about food safety, what are we even talking about? What is it? Where does it even come from? First and foremost, every small thing you are doing out there, whether you're a farmer, you're a consumer, you're a trader, or whichever capacity you are in, whatever you're doing, but to make sure that food is not contaminated. That is basically what we call food safety. To make sure that the food is not contaminated. What is it that you're doing at whatever level? What intervention, what action are you doing to make sure that food is not contaminated? So that is an umbrella of, food safety. That's how we start talking about food safety. Now, there are many things that actually make our food unsafe. And just to bring our viewers to speed, we have categorized them into hazards, what we call now the food safety hazards, 4 of them. We can have the physical hazards. Now, physical hazards, this is when you're served with food and then you find physical items that are not supposed to be in the food.
The stones.
So for instance, they serve you food and then you find animal droppings. Just imagine they have served you beans and then on consumption, you start chewing animal droppings. It could be goats droppings or birds droppings or whatever. It means that those droppings are already a contaminant to the food. They are not supposed to be in the food, but you can see them in the what? In the food. That is already a contaminant. You can find stones. Just imagine a child of 5 years and taking rice and then they start chewing and then they chew a stone. A stone can pluck off a tooth of a child, It can even be sand. You've seen farmers or traders when they want to increase the quantity of the food. Someone is packing 100 kilograms, but they first put 2 kilograms of sand or stone or whatever to increase the quantity. Now, to the consumer who's going to buy this food, first of all, they're going to pay more money than they're supposed to pay. 2, they are going to have food that is contaminated already with sand or stones or whatever. All those are food contaminants. We've also seen food, say, in functions or in schools, and then you find beads. It could be a rosary bead, it could be jewelry in food. So just imagine that consumer who is eating this food, but it has jewelry or some bit of beads. All those are physical contaminants. Away from the physical contaminants, we also have now the biological contaminants, where you have food, but the food has bacteria, it has viruses, it has fungus. This is usually because of poor hygiene and sanitation during the course of preparation of the food. Think about it this way. You have someone cooking food, but the hands have never been cleaned. Someone goes to the washrooms and they come and touch food. So there's a risk of getting contamination of the food from the bacteria or viruses that we actually have. So that is another angle of contamination that we actually have. You can even imagine in our households, how do we wash our plates? Or in restaurants, the water they are using to clean the plates, and then you see the color of the water is already black or some sort of, there's a risk of contaminating the plate on which you're going to put the food. So all those are aspects we talk about in that thing. But also we have another category of contaminants, what we call now the chemical contaminants. Now these ones are rampant in this country. They could be chemicals that we use in agriculture. They could be chemicals that are being used in preservation of food. They could be chemicals. Think about if you're going to different parts of this country, you find people drying food on tarmac. So what is happening during a hot day, the tarmac is melting and is, the tar is entering the food. That's already a chemical. But the consumer is going to consume this food without knowing that actually this food was dried on a tarmac road, and so they end up getting sick. And then also you've seen people using public health drugs in preservation of food. Talk about formalin in meat, in milk, in fish. Formalin is a chemical used in preserving dead bodies, and someone is putting it in milk, in meat, in fish, just to make sure that it stays longer. All of those are chemical hazards. Now, because of these challenges I've just mentioned, globally we agreed that we should celebrate the World Food Safety Day to make sure that we increase awareness on food safety, to make sure that we build the capacity of the people on food safety, to make sure that on such a day we do advocacy on food safety, to make sure that on such a day research on food safety is disseminated out there, to make sure that we make people aware of these circumstances that are actually contaminating the food. The other reason was that if now you look at the report from World Health Organization, every year, now the number has increased. We are talking about 866 million people who fall sick or who get ill every year because they have eaten a contaminated food. Can you imagine? 866 million people fall sick because of eating contaminated food every year. Now this number, these are the people we know who have gone to the hospitals, they have reported, we've taken notes that they are sick of this and this disease. Those are the numbers we know. There are those who get sick or who get food poisoning or whichever foodborne illness, but they never come to the hospital. Now those are not part of these numbers. Now surprisingly, out of this number, 1.52 million people die.
And I think that is the biggest number.
Exactly. They are dying because they have eaten contaminated food. Just imagine your relative who just died because they have eaten food that was contaminated. And someone is buried just because they ate contaminated food, either chemical or they have eaten some poison, but in the food. Someone goes for a wedding, they come back, they are sick, and they die.
Bwana Bwambale.
Yes.
I've had food poisoning.
Yes.
Even at schools, to the extent that schools have banned
yes.
parents
yes.
to take food
to
school during maybe visitation days. And many of them are saying maybe it is because either the stepmother or it is so and so.
Yes.
Is it that, or it is this what we are talking about, issues
as
of...
As a scientist, I know that there is a lot of food contamination that happens. First of all, parents are buying food from all sources, even when they are not sure which source they are getting the food. And these guys who are preparing food, they know that tomorrow is a visitation day. So food can even be prepared in advance and taken to children. The food is not warmed, the food is not reheated. I mean, it's possible. People are using unclean water, for instance, to make juices for these children. And the parents are just carrying. People are not making food from their homes. People are getting food from wherever they are buying it, and they're taking it to school. But even the schools, inside the schools, there's a lot of contamination. Think about a school that is using paraffin or kerosene to preserve beans. A child is eating 2 plates of beans every day for 3 months in a term, for 9 months in a year. What do you expect of such a child? Now, because of those conditions, children get sick, they die, etc. Now, in Uganda, back home here, the Ministry of Health reported that 1.3 million Ugandans fall ill every year because of eating contaminated food. 1.3 million. Just imagine. Those are the ones who have gone to the hospital. Those are the numbers we know who have visited the doctor. Now there are these huge numbers that never go to the hospital. Now 1.3 million Ugandans, they have eaten a contaminated food and then they have fallen sick. Just imagine that number because of poor handling of the food, and people end up in disease, people spend the money, and people die. Away from that, food safety is a problem when it comes to trade. We have had a lot of rejections. Last time we lost $60 million out of rejects because our food had high levels of contaminants in terms of chemical contaminants, pesticide residues, and our tomatoes were rejected. Recently, you saw how Sudan, the most vulnerable country, also rejected our maize because of aflatoxins. Kenya has continuously rejected our maize. Recently, Rwanda rejected our eggs and milk because the milk and the eggs were contaminated with aflatoxins. Now, how much money do farmers lose because their food has been rejected on the market? Surprisingly, when the food is rejected, it is rejected in another country, but comes back to Uganda, and the Ugandans consume. A few months ago, I think it was 2025, when we were celebrating the World Food Safety Day, the farmers in Kampala here, Kampala Wakiso, in the metropolis, they got a deal of 100 tons to Kenya. Kenyans came to buy it. On testing, the aflatoxin levels, which were supposed to be at 10 parts per billion, ours was heading up to 50. And they all lost that consignment. And we sold it to the schools. And the children consumed that school. So that is the snapshot of the problems we're actually suffering with. People are not handling food very well. Maybe let me just give you a case in Kampala. I don't know whether it will sound well, but it is relevant for us to know. You've seen these food vendors, the hawkers. Many of them in Kampala, they come from rural setups with bags of, say, potatoes, oranges, mangoes, whatever. When they reach Kampala, from our latest study, we found that actually they come with so many sacks of mangoes, whatever it is, and then they liaise with these guys who operate the public toilets, whatever. So they hide them there because the KCCA is looking out for them. You get it? So they keep on bringing a small batch on the road. After selling, they come back. So just imagine that kind of situation. What about the cooking oil? There is a problem with cooking oil. Most of the hotels in Kampala or wherever in the country, they use cooking oil more than once. So they can start using oil on Monday up to Friday. Then on Saturday, the street food vendors come and buy that reused oil. And now they come and start using it on the streets to prepare chapati, to prepare muchomo, to prepare whatever.
So
it's
true that even transformer oil is
not whether it is true. I am one of the investigators of transformer oil. We found transformer oil in cooking oil mixed up because it doesn't burn quickly. So the guys will mix a liter here and then maybe 2 liters, and the guy cooks for 3 weeks. So every time we use reused oil, you guys have participated in cookery. When you get salt, or maybe when you get onions and you put it in cooking oil, which is on fire, you hear that sharp, how do you call it, the spark. Yeah? That means that the oil has reached its cooking time. Now when we surpass that time, the oil keeps on changing from being oil, it starts releasing poisonous compounds. And that is why it's not a good practice to reuse oil. Now, the oil which was used in a hotel for 7 days, now it goes to the street and is used for another 7 days. So you see that people are eating contaminants from that kind of stuff. And then you have these, the fourth aspect is about allergens. You've heard about allergens, where you are allergic to something, but you even don't know where you're getting it. One of the problems is a consumer comes and says in a restaurant, I want to eat beans. Now, when they serve you beans, you find bones of fish. Where did the bones of fish come from? I asked for plain beans, but on consumption, I find a bone of meat.
Maybe it is a spice kind.
Yeah, but the person doesn't eat meat. That's why they're asking you for beans. So many people pick these allergens from those mixtures. You've seen people mixing so many ingredients, and so consumers have no options. Many of them actually fall sick because of allergenic what? Compounds in these kind of foods. So that is the status. Our food in many of the places is actually unsafe. Yes.
So, yes, we have a practicing farmer, and according to us as small-scale farmers, we think getting food from small-scale farmers is always safe, but it is contrary to what maybe at times we think. Maybe given the fact that we have opportunity to have Mr. Kim here, he can tell us, especially how is food safety and the pesticide issues are kind of taken serious amongst the farming communities, and maybe if really pesticides are a serious kind of issue in the communities, how is Mayuge, maybe farmers from Mayuge and maybe farmers in Uganda, given that you're a farmer leader, how are they looking at pesticides? Is it something they are all running to because of the adverts and so on? Maybe access to those pesticides, given the fact that maybe we don't have alternatives, if in any case it is the case.
Thank you, moderator. And thank you, Dr. Wambale. He has painted a scary picture. I'm sure the viewers and listeners are now, whoever is listening is a bit scared, like me and everyone, but he has spoken the reality. This was happening elsewhere. Now, let's come from before it is called food, before it reaches the tables, before it reaches that place where the adulteration and everything is added.
Adding stones, fecal matter.
Is it still safe? Is it safe? Is it who? Because we are now finding out who is liable.
Yeah. Who's contaminating?
Who is contaminating the food? Is it the farmer, or is it between before? We are looking at the value chain itself. And thank you for that question. The fact is that when we talk about food safety, and we the farmers, the level of ignorance sometimes matter when it comes to the beginning of where food comes from. Why? Because one, the farmers themselves, if you could observe what food do they eat at their home and what is it sold if they are to sell outside there, you'll find that what a farmer is eating could even be somehow safe. But what they are selling outside there, they are selling outside there to get money. Sometimes not bothered about who is going to buy, not knowing that even tomorrow, him or his son, his daughter will eat that food which is sold outside there when it is adulterated. So the level of the contamination of the food and how the farmers perceive it, I can say it is severe somewhere at the grassroots when it comes to, especially when you mention the issue of pesticide. What's the magnitude? The magnitude is high. And why would the farmers go for pesticides? Why would the farmers use pesticides? And why should it be at that level there? First of all, the magnitude on the outbreak of the pests and diseases in the community is high. And when they are high, who could have come to the rescue to make sure that at least it can be controlled? It is themselves, the farmers. Where do they seek information on how to control and manage the outbreak of the pests and diseases? From fellow farmers. I come and ask you, yes, Ronald, how did you do to manage your tomato or to manage this kind of outbreak? Say, go and buy this one. And when it comes to the agro input dealer to buy, the agro input dealers are not all of them are trained in handling pesticides or agro inputs. They are not handled, most of them, because to go into this business, much as there are regulations in Uganda, but it's not true that they work. Whoever has money is the one who goes for this business. So he sells it to you. You ask him, how much should I put in the knapsack? If, for example, pesticide. He said, oh, it is prescribed there, 50. So the farmer goes, he puts not 50, but he looks and says, is it enough? Will it kill the pests? So that's now the issue. Now the contamination might start from there, from the farmer. So now the other issue is, I spoke about the extension services, because at that juncture there would be having the public extension service providers from a government. But even them, when they come, they don't talk about the use of the pesticide, the content and whatever. They are looking at yields. If you use pesticides, you will have increased yields. Now the farmer will be looking at suppressing the pesticide or the disease outbreak, in that he gets what? Gets high yields. So at the end of the day, you asked me how severe it is. The fact is that the farmers are highly affected because of ignorance. They use pesticides, they use other agro-input dealers, agro-input products, because they want to get more money and be able to run out of poverty. I think on that one, I can say that's the magnitude in that regard.
So profit maximization is overriding
the interest of safety
and health.
Now, handling, because there is the issue of after, for example, when I've grown my tomatoes, it is said you have to take at least 70 days when you have sprayed your tomato before harvest. Do farmers do that? No. I can say boldly, no. Do they understand it's supposed to be that? I don't know, because even if he understands, he will not do it. Because the consumers, I'm talking about the one who sell the products in the market, they want to see that your tomatoes were sprayed, because they will take a long shelf life in the market. So the farmers goes ahead to make sure that when he's bringing the tomatoes, I'm talking about tomatoes because these are but there are other products, is make sure that there is something visible to show that I sprayed. Now, even if the farmer knows that it has to be 7 days, will not do it. The eggs, say at least maybe 5 days. Are you sure the farmer will stop picking eggs for 5 days, even if he picks and gives it to dogs? No. The milk, treating the animal, you have to take at least 70 days when you are milking the animal and pouring it away. Are you sure a farmer will pour away milk for 70 days? You see? So I'm telling you this, it is severe. And the consumers are the one who are affected mostly, because you are consuming a milk, you don't know whether this farmer observed the 70 days. You are eating the eggs, you don't know whether the farmer observed the 3 days before picking the eggs to the market. So the fact is that we have a very big role to play as farmers, make sure that food is safe. But that one is on the negative side. I'm telling you, there are farmers who do observe that. They use proper means of farming, the products come on the shelves when it is okay, but from the farmer to the market, this is why you have a problem. We have a scenario when we went to the borders of Busia. We met those traders, the small scale traders and other medium-sized traders. They were telling us that if you want maize to dry very fast, there is a chemical those Kenyans bring, and they mix it in the maize. It will dry in 6 hours, but it is very dangerous. So they come and buy the farm before the maize is. When maize is still having the milk, it's still milky, not even dry. When it's still milky, they tell the farmer, you cut it down. Then the farmer cuts out the maize. They move it from the cobs, and they put that chemical in 6 hours. The maize is dry and it's sold.
6 hours.
Now, who is liable? The farmer wants money. The trader came. He says, "Don't worry for me. I know where I'm going to." So this issue now, from the farmer to the market, there is also something which needs to be done. The issue of aflatoxins. By the way, was there aflatoxins in the early 50s? Why were they not being spoken about? The fact is that even the source of the seed we are using, the improved seed are hard to be managed by the farmers. Because the aflatoxins is about how are you drying to observe the moisture content of either 12 or whatever. So when you are not able to dry safely, this is where the beginning of the aflatoxin on groundnuts and maize. Who is providing the drying gadgets? So now the seed we used to use before, they were resistant to aflatoxins. However much you dry them on the floor, they could not contaminate. But currently, the improved seed, they are so prone to any change in the humidity. That's why the levels of aflatoxins are high. So it means that the source of the seed we are using to plant, is also a problem. So as farmers, I think we need something else to make sure that we show it from the planting time, what seed we are using, then we shall be able to manage. Or otherwise, there should be something between there. How do we dry and who is responsible to make sure that what we are drying is safe in that we have safe food on table. He has already said much about food there. I'm talking about where the food comes from. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hakim. And maybe back to Bwana Bwambale.
Yes, sir.
I've heard you talking about issues of highly hazardous pesticides to the extent that the government through the ministry had to restrict. We don't know what they restricted, what and where.
Yes.
We are not sure of the compliance. Maybe for this episode, can you maybe help us? Because I know Mr. Hakim talked about people being ignorant. I think others are just adamant because of profits.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know what exactly are highly hazardous pesticides and why should Ugandans be worried? And if you talk about those maybe restricted, which are those ones?
Okay.
And maybe Mr. Hakim will tell us exactly whether what you're going to say to list are the ones which they are using, those who are not godly.
Okay. So this is a great question. So as Mr. Hakim has said, we are not against pesticides. We are not against pesticides because I mean the burden of pests, the burden of disease out there are real on the farm. And so the farmers need remedies to use. Now, globally, we have standards of what kind of pesticide must be used and which ones must not be used. And those that are not supposed to be used, there's already categorization globally accepted. And mind you, Uganda is also a signatory to that, to that global standard. Now, we have a category of pesticides that is called highly hazardous pesticides. Actually, those ones, when you go to the FAO and this global standard, we are supposed not to use them. As simple as that. Now, what is the criteria here? Chemicals or agrochemicals that have been found, scientifically proven, to have a potential to cause cancer, or what we call carcinogenic compounds. They have potential to cause a cancer. That is category number one. We are supposed to categorize them as highly hazardous. And so they must leave the market because they can cause any type of cancer to the farmer, but also to the consumer. That is one. Number two, the second category, we have those highly hazardous molecules that are mutagenic. That is the scientific word. But what that means, it can change your DNA. Just imagine exposure to that chemical can actually change or alter your genetic makeup.
So I can have a child with my wife, and because of these
exposure,
I go for DNA and
there is a trouble in the genetic composition of the child. You get it? So those ones, we also have them. Thirdly, some of them are reproductive toxicants. What that means is that when a man or woman has exposure, what is exposure? You need to note that. Even if you're not using, but you're exposed, it can affect your reproductive system. Now, for women, they can become infertile. For men, they can become impotent. And sometimes women can become pregnant, but they have preterm deliveries. Or they can have, you have stillbirth when a child is born dead, just because of exposure, reproductive toxicants. Number 4, some of those highly hazardous molecules are toxic to bees and other pollinators. What that means is that when you are spraying your garden, say this is your farm, the neighbor has not used, but the chemical has gone to their garden, and they find bees or other pollinators, they can actually destroy them and they die. But remember, farming is dependent on pollination, but then the pollinators have gone. So what are you going to use? The 5th issue is that some of them are actually toxic to aquatic life, the fish and those other things in the water. But remember, this is also food. Just imagine the fish we consume. But then, assuming you are getting it from Lake Victoria, and then there are farms around the lake, and the guys are spraying heavily, and then the runoff is going to the water, killing the fish. The guy who's fishing in the night will pick everything and will come and consume it. And there's something called bioaccumulation of chemicals, that if, for instance, fish consumed the chemical, then I come and eat the fish, I will have a share of the chemical and keeps on building in my body. Recently, we just had a few studies in your region, sir. We found people's breast milk with chemicals, agrochemicals, in breast milk of mothers. We just did another investigation in Chigezi. Breast milk of mothers had pesticides. We've done many studies in Wakiso here, and we found pesticides in people's sweat and in people's urine. I am not shy to say it because we have done it. Recently, we did around 2017, 2018, we moved around this country, 17 districts, picked water samples from all over the water bodies. And we found pesticides in water. By the way, water in the rivers, in the lakes, in the shadoofs, in the taps, would still find traces of these chemicals. So from the science, highly hazardous molecules are toxic to aquatic life and also pollinators, as I've mentioned. Now that is the categorization of the HHPs, highly hazardous molecules. And that's how the categorization comes in. Now, we have studies that indicate that people, especially women, let me start with women, who have exposure to these highly hazardous molecules, they are at risk of stillbirth, giving birth to children who have already died. They are at risk of infertility. They are at risk of menstrual irregularities. Just imagine every lady must go for menstrual periods every month. But we see that farmers who are continually using HHPs, they actually even miss their periods. And you know how the exposure happens? The person is spraying without a mask, without a headgear, without any protective gear. They are spraying even wrongly. We've seen farmers, leave alone farmers, even traders now, after Mr. Hakim has harvested tomatoes, then the trader now is the one mixing the chemical in the market. We've also seen that. So there's a lot of misuse. What about the bottles? After using the pesticide bottles, where do we discard them? Many of the bottles are used either to package water. Your child is going to school, you just get the empty, which you just...
Also we are seeing every day people...
dropping them, exactly, and then they are packing juice. Packing juice, packing bushera, packing water, packing, and this is what people go with.
I thought that was recycling.
It could look like it could look like recycling of the bottles, but look here. I found a farmer. She used the mark as a bottle, and now it was her flask. She carries her porridge when she's going to the garden. So she's recycling the bottle. I know that those bottles are now being used in keeping oil at home, keeping majani, keeping sugar, keeping salt. But it was initially carrying a chemical.
By now, Bwana Bwambale,
Yes.
we're talking about Mancozeb.
Yes.
And the farmer using the bottle.
Yes.
For maybe oil or
yes.
what.
Yes.
Should we say, or should we continue saying and commend the government
yes.
for coming out to take action in regulating, restricting, abolishing some of these HHPs? And where I come from, I'm also a farmer. I've never heard that until I met you today, that the government has restricted or abolished.
You see,
and what are those ones?
You see, last year, colleagues will remember that we were on top of our voices talking to government about the highly hazardous molecules. We noted that this country, this mighty country of ours, we are using chemicals that are not used even where they come from. They are made in Europe and sent to us.
How resilient?
I don't know. The ministry told us that, you see, a chemical can be banned elsewhere and we use it here, which is a wrong thing. Because what I've told you, the process, the criteria, we are not talking about environmental differences. We are talking about health or environmental disasters that can be caused by a chemical. So if Europe bans a chemical, we should ban it. Because they are banning it because of being cancerous, because it is a mutagen, because it is toxic to bees, because it is toxic to aquatic life, because it is a reproductive toxicant. Those are the reasons.
Oh, it is because we are ever given food aid.
I don't know. I don't want to go there. So after the noise, let me just give you a record. The Ministry of Agriculture in October last year released a notice to CropLife. CropLife is the umbrella body for importers and exporters of those chemicals. This letter is dated 27th of October 2025. And the committee, the chemicals review committee had sat and they decided that 18 chemicals be regulated. Now, out of the 18, 9 of them have to be withdrawn, have to be banned. And the other 9 have been restricted for use. You get it? So they are not the 18 that have been banned. Out of 18, 9 are restricted, meaning we shall keep using them for a particular period of time. And then the other 9 must be off the market. Now we have 2 timelines. The ministry provided some molecules must be off the market by the 30th of June this month. So if I go to the shop on 1st July, I must never find them. Okay? Now others must be off the market by December. You get it? So they gave a time lag for, I don't know, I don't want to say that for business people to sell. But we have those 2 categories. Now, I just want to confirm to the people why chemicals were banned. Look at this product. There's a product called alpha cypermethrin. It's an active ingredient that we've been using. But the ministry says it is considered as a serious water pollutant. That when it is in your water, it is terrible.
It's an environmental issue.
2, toxic to bees. That's what I just mentioned. But we've been using it here for many years. 3, endocrine disruptor. Now, let me first shed light there. One of the criteria we use to eliminate these chemicals or call them highly hazardous is this, endocrine disruption. Endocrine system, what is it? The system of your body that makes hormones. Is what we call the endocrine system. Now, this chemical disrupts that system. So you see people are not reasoning, you wonder what is not happening. Kumbe the system is, you get it? And that is one reason they gave for this.
The ministry.
The ministry, this is the letter of the ministry.
Our mighty ministry.
Maif, even signed by the commissioner. Now, this chemical is supposed to be off the market by the 30th of June, 2026.
This June.
This June. So you've seen the reasons. The reasons they are giving to why it has to be removed relate to the criteria I just told you about. So there is nothing like something, no, it is just about that. Let us look at another, let me sample for you another. Atrazine. The last episode I talked about this chemical, that when we did our last study, we found it very present in our air and everybody was breathing it around Kampala. But look at what the ministry says. It is considered as an underground water contaminant at levels as low as 0.1 micrograms.
What is that?
Just imagine a drop, getting a drop, 0.1, and you dip it in water, pop. That water is purely contaminated. That's what the ministry is saying. It is a contaminant at a level as low as 0.1 microgram, not even a gram, microgram. A simple drop just going into the water of this chemical, the water is contaminated. And the ministry is telling us so. But these are the chemicals we've been talking about, and they say we are alarmists. But this is the reality coming out here. Look at another reason for that chemical. It is considered an endocrine disruptor. 3, it causes reduced male fertility. So where is the lie? Now this is the letter of the ministry. 4, they say it may cause coma. but the farmers have been using. But it may cause coma, circulatory collapse, and gastric bleeding. Those are the reasons why this chemical, the ministry decided to take it off the what?
Shelf.
The shelf. Of course, there are others. There are about 9. But let me read for you another interesting one. Carbendazim. High doses cause infertility and destroys testicles of mammals. That is the language the ministry is using.
This is scientific.
I mean, so there is nothing like we are deceiving the populace. This is what the ministry is saying. The product may be a liver toxicant. That when you have exposure, our liver is in what? Okay, let me just give you some chemicals which have been retained, and I give you the reasons. Let me take you through your mancozeb that you know. This chemical you see on the tomatoes, the ministry has not banned it. It has left it on the market. But check the reasons. Mancozeb is considered as a reproductive toxicant. The ministry says so. And a probable carcinogen. You know a probable carcinogen?
That's why we have a lot of cancer cases.
That has been left. It has been left, and the reason is we have no alternative for it.
That's the reason.
But they have just told us that it is a reproductive toxicant, meaning when farmers, consumers, whatever, are exposed to it, and we are not following its whatever, we are likely to suffer reproductive issues. Secondly, it is a probable carcinogen. What is a probable carcinogen? A probable carcinogen is a chemical that has been confirmed to cause a cancer in animal trials. And so we have not yet concluded in the human trials. But as I know as a scientist, anything that is potentially carcinogenic to animals is a potential carcinogenic to a human being. Now, they say, well, let us leave it on up to the next 5 years. And the reason is the industry should be looking for the alternative.
Okay. From there,
Let us pause it there.
You're creating more fear.
No, there's no fear, but I'm telling you the reality.
We need to be enlightened.
But maybe let me just conclude a little bit. The ministry provided guidance on how restricted chemicals are supposed to be used. They have guided that the labels must be changed on the bottles. So we need to indicate how we should spray, when we should spray, what we should wear when we are spraying. So meaning that farmers out there, just know that it's trouble, like I've read for you. Please wear your mask, put on your protective gear, spray at the right time as recommended on the what? On the bottle. But the question is, are farmers able to even interpret those labels?
Okay.
We
From
stop
there,
there.
that is what I wanted to go to Mr.
Yes.
Hakim. I just heard Bwana Wambale saying by 30th
June.
June, this month, the shedding off of the abolished, the 9 abolished ones.
Yes, the banned molecules.
Then the second batch will be 31st
of
December.
End of December.
Then there are those ones
which are still on for the next
for
5
the
years,
next
3
5
years, or whatever.
Okay. As a farmer leader, I think you've traversed this country. You've engaged the farmers from the household level. Are you like me, who is just getting to understand those schedules and the ban? And is it the case with other farmers? Or we need to do more now, given the fact that the government has realized all those risks and cases, but they are not doing enough to sensitize farmers? Maybe Mr. Hakim, are farmers aware of these proceedings, and do we have alternatives based on agroecology, or can agroecology come in to provide alternatives? Because now Mankozeb is staying for 5 years because
no alternative.
The reason was
no alternative.
And we are ever talking about agroecology. One is, are we aware of the proceedings? Two, can agroecology come in as a savior?
Thank you very much.
Oh, you also now scared to remember.
And thank you, Leonard. The fact is that I come from the area where there is extensive sugarcane growing. And because of sugarcane growing, it is a labor-intensive activity, because you cannot grow it on a small scale. You have to grow it on a large scale. So farmers have resorted to herbicide, using it extensively, herbicides. And when you look at them, how they handle this herbicide, up to now, I'm not sure. I've been telling them that in the next 15 years, my area will have people who will be highly prone, sick, and all hospitals will be full of people who have challenges which are attributed getting them from these pesticides, especially the herbicides. In my very area, it is where people grow rice, Busoga sub-region, in the wetlands. And the quickest way of suppressing weed is using herbicide. And one of the herbicides is atrazine.
Indeed.
And you cannot tell them, stop. And when they spray it, it goes into the water. He said 0.1 molecule. Microgram. But they are now spraying the herbicide in the water, in the wetland. Are we safe? Where are our lives? Aquatic life, the animal, the people. You see? So the fact is that when the ministry, I read, me who is able to read, I read about it. I was waiting for the next stage of saying, now this is the next stage of dissemination. Maybe calling these production officers, then the sub-county extension workers, then later there could be a procedure whereby the extension worker will be now going village to village. Hey, please, farmers, these herbicides have been banned. But I'm telling you, the way you are aware and all are now aware is the majority of the farmers in the field. This is news, and I think it is like TikTok. People just talking about it. It's not serious. It is not serious. So they are talking about 30th June. Maybe when they go to the shelves and they don't meet them in the what? In the agro-input dealers, they will not buy it. But if it is there, it is the news, it will not be, they will not stop buying it. So farmers are not aware of these things of the ministry, that these were banned. Because there is no one who has taken the trouble of making us fully aware that it's banned. Even the dangers we talk are attributed to it. Farmers are there dying silently and suffering silently about the dangers attributed. Yesterday I was talking to a bishop. I told him, this born again church, he was seated with someone who was a tomato grower for some time. But he had gone out. When he came back, he said, oh, let this guy give you experience. The guy told me, I cannot see. I cannot see, but I was a serious tomato grower. my skin is having challenges, my body has issues. So we have witnesses who can come and testify about the dangers attributed to what? The agrochemicals. So this is a very serious issue, and I'm not sure what the government is going to do to make sure that this one, as it is being banned, the consumers, who are the farmers who consume these products, are fully aware that these are dangerous agrochemicals which are supposed to be removed of the market. The other time we were telling this point in Europe that even Africans are humans.
Correct.
We are also humans like them. Why do you think that what is burnt there can be used on the continent of Africa or elsewhere in the developing world? I will tell them we also humans like you. So what is good for you is good for us. And what's bad for you is bad for us. Don't think that we are extra human or you are more human than we. Because why should you allow hazardous pesticides to come on these continents and it's not used there? And even encourage companies. I told them and they said, that thing there, I think we are working on the globe to see that is eradicated since up to when. So are there alternatives? The fact is that alternatives have been there for long. When you practice agroecology, first of all, the issue of increased pest outbreak and diseases, it is not they are supposed to be there, but it's because of encroachment on our ecosystem and increased loss of biodiversity. When we improve on the soil health, these crops will be more resilient and they will withstand all of those ones. But when the soil was depleted and we increased to use fertilizers, the soil is now very porous. There is nothing which can hold there. Water goes, everything reached, minerals reached. So the soil is very weak. It cannot hold on the crops. And even the pastures which the animals eat is also sickly. So even the animal eats the pasture which can also help its body. Now, what do you think the person who is eating that? Will it be very resilient to the outbreak of the diseases? So the first place would be to be more productive in the way to produce healthy crops. We start with the soil. Let's improve on the soil health by using the best way of fertilizers, which are more organic. And we have bioproducts, biofertilizers, which are easily produced. They can even be produced commercially. This is the entry point. Let's improve on the health of our environment, the soil. Then the products, the food will be safe. We have I don't want to call them pesticide. When you say side means kill. If you didn't know. Remember you say side, you are meaning kill. So we have crop protectors. We can make them out of these other things here. The fungus, the tomatoes, we use milk and other things to protect the fungus outbreak in our crop. So there are many things. Let us resort to farm managed seed system. It's extensive that way. You find ways of managing, getting good seed from the start. Where they go, good animal, good breed from that area there. We shall be able. Let us do recycling as the first principle of agroecology. Recycling means that when you get the animal urine, you preserve it for 14 days, use it on your crop, use the animal dropping, use it for your days, and also understand how do we handle those things which contain harmful pesticides. How do we dispose them? Because there is no one telling you how to dispose of these things here. This is why when after using, he goes and reuse it again in his home. So those are agroecological ways of doing it. Let us use water harvesting and soil conservation. When the soil has water, it is healthy. These are agroecological means. Let us use agroforestry. Let us use crop rotation.
But Mr. Kim,
yes,
the issue why government through the ministry is holding the all the continuity of Mankoze is because of the alternatives. Why aren't we document, justify to government that alternatives are here?
So the question,
what is the problem?
The question is
because it seems you have in communities there is a lot of practices, sustainable practices, But why is the government still seeing nothing to the extent that they can continue hazardous pesticides for now more 5 years?
These scientists here, we have good scientists. All of them are good, but good science with good innovations. But now we have the national research institutions. In Uganda, this question would go to them. For the last years, when we are using these mancozeb and other things, have they taken trouble to do an extra research on what are these existing things we have? Because what we use, they call them stories, they call them things of ancient. They are not justified. They do not want to take them as serious
And product
solutions to the challenges we are facing. So not until when they are validated authentically by the national research institutions will the government take it as serious. So that is the solution. Let the national research institutions come on board, work with us, the farmers, to justify, validate, and synthetically, it will be automatically taken on board and be used. But while we are still working as farmers, it will remain with us because it is not anywhere in the record. So is it scientifically proven? I'm a farmer. You are the scientist that side. Why do we work on a parallel lane? You are doing your research that side. The farmer is also doing their research on it. But what we are doing here is going to mean at the same time at the table when people are consuming food. So let the scientific innovators, those who are scientific in the national research institution, come to the farmer, work together, and justify the things I'm talking about here. That is the solution.
correct. Yes, actually, as we wind up, I wanted to say if there is one recommendation. Now for you, I'm going to give you another opportunity to say a second recommendation. That was already a recommendation. Is there any one other recommendation you would give to government, farmers, consumers, to make sure that food safety and standards are upheld? And maybe from you, we shall go to Comrade Bernard as we close.
I start with we ourselves, the farmers. As farmers, we are at the center of making food more safe than another person. So let us not take things for granted. Let us respect decisions which are made to make sure that what we are producing is very safe. Let us start to analyze what we buy from agro-input dealers. Take caution to read if we are to continue using pesticides. Read and use the content as prescribed. Don't think and say it will not kill. That one is going to make us sure. If you are a dairy farmer, why do you adulterate milk? Why do you add contaminated water? When you know that it's going to be for consumption. If they tell you pick eggs after 3 days, do that. That we shall be playing our role to make sure that we have put food on table when it is safe. For the consumers, start to demand for what is safe. Understand what is safe. It is our right, you consumers, to understand that what you are going to consume, it is your health. That is where your life is going to be dangerous, to be endangered or not. So demand for healthy products from the shelves where you buy them from. And for the government, our dear government, through our Ministry of Agriculture, we have private extension service providers who have done enough research on the things I'm talking about, which are agroecological. It is my sincere call that let us extend that partnership of working together, and we are able to have alternatives which can work. Lastly, when you are making policies, these policies shouldn't be a one-sided way, because the policies do play a bigger role to either bring more hazardous chemicals in the country or ban them. Let the policy be a loud policy, and we totally ban the chemicals from coming in the country. Let us not ban from the shelves, ban them from the shops. It will not work. Ban them from the shops will not work. Let's ban them from entering the country, not banning them from the shops. That we shall have helped the farmers, the consumers, and even all other users. That will be the best way of handling the issues of hazardous chemicals in the farming communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Kim.
Thank you.
Bwana Wambale.
You see, Mr. Kim, you've really closed us off well. You know, some people say that I create fear, but I have to tell people. I have to tell people the truth. So maybe in 1 minute as I close, I just wanted to give you this this citation from the letter of the ministry. There are these two particular chemicals I must speak about. One chemical that is commonly used called duron. And the ministry says, prolonged or repeated exposure may lead to kidney, spleen, and liver damage. That's what the ministry says. Huh? Then there is this other chemical, they say it is a mutagen. The other thing I talked about can change your DNA. But this is what the farmers are using. When we say it locally, people think we are creating fear. Now this is the ministry saying. Now that the ministry is telling us all this, I pray, this is my humble prayer to the ministry, let us mean the banning. If we have banned the highly hazardous molecules, the law allows, because we have the African law on this, it allows that everything that is banned elsewhere should not enter Africa. That is the African, the continental law. So government, can we ban? And when we ban, can we ban the import? So that the farmer has no access to the highly hazardous. We can have access to these other low risk products. Number two, can we make the process of registration of our biosolutions doable here? That is one of the problems that these guys are suffering from. They have the solutions, but they are not able to register them quickly. Because, I mean, a lot of money is involved. Can we make this process easy and affordable by our scientists? Consumers, when you go to the market, you determine whom to give your money. This business of buying a tomato because you've seen a white thing, I have told you the danger, which is even indicated by the ministry. Please don't buy molecules that you see on the surface of the food. Farmers and our traders, please don't contaminate the food. Because, I mean, you're going to kill the source of the money. We need to be careful. When I go to a restaurant or hotel, I have to be sensitive of the safety concerns before I start eating, because you're going to get sick and you pay heavily. Why should you buy food of 2,000? Then you go to the hospital and pay 4 million. So I think all of us are responsive. Let us do our part, assuring that the safety of the food is guaranteed at all levels. Farmer, consumer, trader, all of us, we must put our hands together and ensure that things are working. For people in the standards, when you create a standard and you don't create awareness about the standard, what do you expect people to do? We need to create mass awareness on the standards, on the law, and all these regulations so that our people are aware. We keep training them, we keep engaging with them so that people know what to do. Otherwise, we are not going to survive, all of us, including the ministers and whatsoever. Thank you so much for hosting us.
Thank you, Mr. Wambale and Mr. Hakim. As of course, we commemorate this World Food Day or Food Safety Day.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility, all, as you say.
Yeah, sure.
The farmers, government, consumers, and the
private sector, business.
sector. It is our responsibility to see that Uganda's food safety future is a promising one. And of course, I want to thank you for sparing the time.
Thank you.
To be with us, to discuss, share expertise, experiences. I'm not going to say fears, but of course from fears, we find solutions to the fears. So we thank you, Mr. Hakim Balira from Mayuge, but also our farmer leader in the country with all those experiences. But also I didn't know that Mr. Bernard is also called the Carlos somewhere.
Yes.
So, Mr. Bernard Carlos Wambale, we are privileged to have you here, and thank you for listening to ESAF Uganda podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting us. If it is not safe, it is not food.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching The Spotlight. Stay connected with ESAF Uganda as we empower small-scale farmers. Visit our website and follow us on social media for more updates.